I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman! Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. The podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal Cinema. And then we talk about it afterwards. We sit in the parking lot. We share our feelings. Should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you see this movie in theaters? We try to answer all those burning questions so you can sleep soundly at night. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. And yes, we saw another movie and we're going to talk about it. Tonight, we saw not just Batman, but the Batman.
True.
An important addition to the Batman saga. So yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about who's in it, and we'll talk about what it's about, and who's in it. There's a few people in it.
Yes.
Robert Pattinson is in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mr. Twilight himself.
He's Batman. Zoë Kravitz is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's the Catwoman. And we have Colin Farrell.
Yes.
And we have Andy Serkis.
Yes.
And let's not forget someone I forgot. Sarsgaard. There's a Sarsgaard in this.
I was thinking that too. I was like, it's one of the Sarsgaards. I know it is.
Yeah, Peter, I think.
Seller? No, maybe it is Peter. Isn't there
Peter.
a Stellar Skarsgård? Maybe that's the dad.
That's the dad.
Peter. Yeah, you're right.
Who else? There's someone else. There's someone else famous in this.
Yeah, the guy who plays Gordon. Is his name Jeffrey Wright?
Maybe.
I'm going to check on that.
You check on that.
Let's see. And, the guy who plays Falcone.
Gaglub-dub-dub.
It
It has more than one syllable in it.
Yes.
In the last name. John Turturro.
There we go. All right.
Pulled it out at the end.
We got it.
Okay. And I'm going to go with Jeffrey Wright, if that is his name. I don't know that he's a famous person to me.
Yeah, it is Jeffrey Wright. Boom, nailed it.
And
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Who's the Riddler.
Oh, right. Okay. What's he been in?
He has been in a ton of movies. But
okay.
He chooses, like, more artsy, weird movies to be in. Like, There Will Be Blood. He was in Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay.
Plenty of others that I just can't think of right now. He was in Okja, which we saw.
Oh, yes, we did. About the giant pig.
Yes. And then Jeffrey Wright is... he was in the Hunger Games movies. I would argue at this point his most famous role is probably I think he was one of the main characters in Westworld.
Okay.
He was also Felix in the Bond movies.
Okay. All right.
He was someone in the What If series, but I don't know who. It doesn't say. Oh, he was the Watcher.
The Watcher. Okay, well. So, all right. I'll give him some famous credits for that. Anyone else?
I think that's it. I'm just going to scroll real quick.
Scroll through the IMDb.
It is Peter. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. So what's this movie about? This is a Batman movie.
Mm.
There is a villain or villains. There's multiple villains. But the main villain in this movie is the Riddler. So the Riddler is on the scene sending riddles. People are dying as a result of these riddles or as a method of delivering the riddles.
Yeah.
And Batman is there, and he is trying to figure out what's going on, trying to solve the Riddler's riddles. There's also a mobster, Falcone, who is on the scene, orchestrating things from behind the scenes. And there is the Penguin, who's in this movie as sort of a low-level kind of villainy type character. He hasn't really grown to his full penguin-y potential at this point.
Yeah, he's like Falcone's right-hand man or whatever.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, you've got Catwoman, who comes along and helps Batman at various points to figure out things. And it is what it is. It's a Batman saga where we go from him learning about this villain to him investigating multiple incidences of riddles and solving those riddles in various fashions, and then it becomes personal, and then other people are involved, and then there's several twists at the end.
Twisty turns is how we...
Lots of twisty turns.
That's how we describe them here at this podcast.
Yes. So, I don't know how much more I can really say about it without sort of revealing a lot, but it is I would say it's a standard fare Batman superhero DC Comics movie. So, that's what I'll say about that. Todd, I am eager to hear what your thoughts are.
Would you like me to start with the pros or the cons? You get to choose.
I choose the pros.
Okay. I do think we're going to not be close on our rating of this movie.
Okay.
All right, I'll start with the pros. So, what I liked about this movie, and there's certain elements that I liked a lot. One is this is primarily a detective whodunit, figure it out movie more than it is an action movie. There are definitely action elements, and of course Batman's going to fight and be Batman. But I don't think we've ever truly got Batman's a pretty good, great detective, good mind kind of Batman story in all the Batman movies that we got. And I think I think the fact that this is like a kind of like a somewhat murder mystery, find the serial killer kind of story, I think really helped this movie. And it's also filmed like kind of like a neo-noir movie, like kind of voiceover, narrator, like kind of like the narration is Batman writing in his Bat journal, which I got a kick of, his Bat logs or whatever. And so I liked that. I thought the acting was much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was really kind of on the fence about Pattinson, and I kind of was just, I don't know, like a lot of the casting I thought was good, but I also was kind of weary. I think Pattinson played a great Batman. I'll say it. Like, I think the scenes where he's in costume and he's Batman are good. Like, I would almost say really good. Zoë Kravitz is a fine Catwoman. I don't care about Catwoman, but like, I think she did pretty well in that role. Like, not that I feel like there's that much there to work with, honestly. You're a female femme fatale who slinks around like a cat and is a cat burglar. So, Colin Farrell I thought was great as the Penguin. It just was, it was the best modern take that we've had on the Penguin, I think, as like a kind of mobster, drug pusher kind of stuff, which is at this point, I think, pretty comic accurate. So I was happy to see that. I enjoyed that. I thought Jeffrey Wright was a great Gordon, kind of like playing the character of a detective, or he's a lieutenant, I guess maybe a lieutenant detective, who is a man trying to still do good, but he's obviously beaten down because he lives in the worst city ever, and I'm sure his life sucks. So, but I thought he played that character incredibly well. Like, still wants to do good, but you can just tell he's seen some stuff, you know? And Paul Dano as the Riddler, I thought did okay. I'll talk about more him maybe in the cons. I thought the script was okay to good. I thought it was shot very well. Like, there are some scenes that I thought were just really good, and there's some action scenes where I was like, oh, that's very enjoyable. And then there's some scenes that I thought were downright stupid, but I'll talk about that in the cons. Yeah, I mean, I thought I was on the fence about all this. I thought this is a pretty good representation of who I think Batman is. And, you know, I'll say in general, I did really enjoy myself. I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was going to hate it every step of the way, but I found myself pretty enthralled with the story. I found myself very into it. And yeah, I mean, I think, let me move on to the cons before I tell you if you should see this movie in theaters or not.
Yes.
So, okay, the cons are, and the biggest con to me is that this movie did not need to be 2 hours and 50 minutes. Like, you could cut a lot of this movie, I think. Even though you could cut some of the stuff I enjoyed, and I just think it would make it a tighter, better movie. Expecting people to sit through a 2 hour and 50-minute movie and still be engaged by the end and still be happy and still be satisfied, I think is so adventurous that I call you stupid for trying to do it. That goes to anyone. Any of these super long movies that keep coming out, like everyone thinks they're going to make The Godfather Part 2, like a long movie where everyone loves and stuff like that. And I just don't think it's possible nowadays. I don't. And I don't even think The Godfather Part 2 is very good either. I'm sure someone's going to argue with me about that.
But we have had some good long movies. Spider-Man No Way Home
True.
is a long one.
Yeah, but what it was
Avengers Endgame is a long one.
Are those movies like 20 to 25 minutes shorter than this movie?
No.
2 hours and 50 minutes? I thought the other ones were
Spider-Man
2:30.
is over 3 hours.
Was it really?
Yes.
All right, well, credit to Spider-Man, because I didn't feel like that was a 3 hour movie.
Well, and that's where I would say is, like, if you come into the movie with no established characters, like no recurring characters,
Right.
it's going to be a struggle to put 3
That is
hours.
true, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because Spider-Man is like, what, 8 movies, like, built to that one movie, and the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War were 10 movies, like, up to that.
Exactly.
So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think, yeah, I agree with you. A standalone movie where you're coming in, and this is the first time, kind of, not that this is the first Batman movie, but it's the first representation of Matt Reeves' Batman movies. Mm-hmm. 2 hours and 50 minutes was way too long. And that's coming from a guy who was like really into the story and really into what was happening. But there are times where I was like, there's no reason for this movie to be this long. Like, it dragged out in certain scenes because, I don't know, they were trying to build something. There's a ton of scenes of Batman walking in this movie. Like, that I just was like, I mean, I get what he was trying to do. He's trying to spell out this, like, I don't know, prolific figure that when he walks down streets, he makes, you know, his heavy boots make so much noise that it strikes fear into people. Or he's at crime scenes just slowly walking around, moseying around, touching a book over here, or something like that. Like, I just was like, I didn't need that. That's too much. Like, if you took all the scenes out of the movie that involved that kind of stuff, you probably have an under 2 hour movie. I absolutely hated Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. Like, I thought it was dumb. I've been thinking that it was going to be really bad ever since I read an article where he was talking about how he based his character off Kurt Cobain because he was listening to Nirvana when he read the script. Like, it's just, Batman is already mopey and, like, down and sad and, like, you know, like, moseying around, touching stuff. I don't need my Bruce Wayne to be, like, sad, mopey, walking around, staring at people, being a weirdo. Like, it didn't fit with me. Like, I hate that. Like, I like the idea that my Batman is two sides of the same coin. You got the Batman, dark, gritty, get stuff done. You got Bruce Wayne trying to run the company, like, trying to do good for Gotham as Bruce Wayne and stuff like that. And these movies, all Batman movies, have done such a bad job of representing Bruce Wayne, the Waynes, anything like that. Like, it's just, I dislike that. There are some scenes that I just was like, I almost laughed at. Like, there's a scene where, like, after a car chase with the Riddler, it's like this 2-minute scene of Batman slowly walking up to Penguin's car that's flipped over and then slowly bending down to just stare at him in the car. And it just was awkward and dumb. Like, let's see. Cons. I mean, I already shared personally I don't care about Catwoman, so, you know, most stuff with her, I was like, this felt like they really had to shoehorn this character into the movie. But, you know, whatever. The Batman masses are probably going to be happy with it. It's hard to... so Paul Dano's Riddler. I honestly don't have a strong opinion one way or the other for it right now. I'm just more weirded out that they basically turned the Riddler into Jigsaw from the Saw movies. Of, like, these weird, elaborate traps. Like, and stuff like that. I was like... I mean, maybe that's a good take on it. I don't have an opinion right now. Like, I'm still thinking about it, which is weird. But I was just like, I can't tell if I dig this or I don't dig this. Yeah, there's plenty of twisty turns. Some of the twisty turns are really good. Like, wait, I'm doing cons. Some some of the twisty turns were okay. Some of them were great, like I said. Yeah, my biggest problem is going to be the runtime. Like, it's going to sit poorly with me, and it's going to knock some points off, because it's needlessly long. Like, you could, like, have several bathroom breaks, cook dinner, take a nap, eat the dinner, like, and you're still not even halfway through the movie, and it didn't, like, as much as they tried to make it work, no matter what, no matter how good the movie was, there's just going to be times where you're like, woo, looking at your watch, like, what is going on? Like, man, this is a long one. And so
I did look at my phone probably 3 or 4 times to be like, where are we in the movie?
I didn't have to look at my phone because I saw you look at your phone. And I was like, Matt's doing exactly... I was like, I don't need to know the time. Matt's doing what I wanted to. That's good enough for me. And I definitely counted time by how many times I heard you sigh. I was like, man, it's been about 10 minutes. I bet I hear a sigh coming. So, okay, wrap up. Should you see this movie? Well... if this movie is in your wheelhouse, if Batman's in your wheelhouse, obviously, if you're a comic fan, if you love the Batman movies, then you're going to see this movie no matter what I say. So, I guess, sure, go see this movie. If you don't like movies like this, or you don't like the Batman, and you don't like, you know, it's a dark, broody kind of movie. If that's not your pie, then don't have a slice of this pie, because it's just not for you. But I think if you're a person who is already inclined to see it, I think you should see it in theaters. Like, I think, and you may be more comfortable at home, and you may be happier spending 3 hours watching a movie while you're at home. But because of the way this movie's shot, and there are some really great scenes in this movie, I think it'll play so much better in the theater than at home. So if you want the full experience, and you were going to see this movie anyway at some point, then, you know, go see it. But I'll say this, don't see it at AMC theaters where they're charging extra money for it, because that's bullcrap. And I don't support that. I'm going to go on a ledge and say we don't support that.
We don't support that.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Like,
they're charging extra money,
pricing?
for just the Batman.
Oh.
Like, and it's the trend that they're going to start for all these new popular movies that are coming out, is that they're going to have higher surcharges for the movie. So, we're against that here.
We are.
But yeah, so if you're on the fence, then I would say probably see the movie. Like, I'll push you over the fence to say, why not go see it? Like, Matt might be the one who pulls you back over the fence to say, no, that was a bad choice. But that's where I'm at right now. And, yeah, I mean, overall I enjoyed it, but I do think there's plenty to pick apart about this movie. So, that's where my rant is going to end. Matt?
Yes. Well, that's where my rant begins then. So I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to say the things that were cons for me first.
Nice.
And you did a good job of hitting on them. One thing I'll say, and this isn't really about the movie, but this is the first time I've seen this at a movie theater where during the previews, okay, I know we have commercials now.
Oh, yeah.
We have commercials before the movie happens.
Yeah.
But when you start the previews now, those are supposed to be off limits.
Yeah. They slipped in that commercial.
Right.
And the whole time I was like, where's this movie going? I don't understand this trailer.
Yes. We got a Verbo ad in the middle of the previews, like halfway through. And I was just like, you jerks.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I already
Disgusting.
sat through your stupid commercials and your Maria Menounos doing her thing before the movie started.
Freaking Maria.
So that's a con. It's not really a con about the movie. It's just a con about movies in general.
Well, it takes down it takes down your experience though. Like,
right.
What a horrible. Has the Matt Damon cryptocurrency thing ever happened during previews?
Not during the previews.
Okay, either before or after.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so back to the Batman.
The Batman.
The length. That's the biggest con, really. I was sitting there and I kept looking at my phone and I was like, how can there be an hour left of this movie?
You know what it reminded me of? I meant to tell you this earlier, but it reminded me of the last Lord of the Rings movie where there was like 20 different epilogues, like different scenes that just kept going. I was like, that's what it reminded me of. Like, I feel like the movie ended around 2 hours and 15 minutes and then the rest was just like epilogue. What's happening here? What's happening there? Like,
yeah. So that's a big con for the Batman is the length. I agree. It could have been so much tighter, so much shorter. I feel like you could have even like gotten rid of one or two of the Riddler's riddles and still been fine. As well as Batman walking around and touching things at crime scenes.
He just loves to touch stuff.
He does. And people get antsy about it.
He also answered a phone through his glove, and I had a problem with that. It's like, how'd that phone answer?
Yeah, well, he's the Batman.
He also turned the power out to a building and then rode an elevator. To which I was like, how does that work?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a con, too. That's added to my list.
Yes!
So, Robert Pattinson is on my cons list.
Yeah.
As an actor in general.
Okay.
Like, he is stiff. He is emotionless. He is himself in every role. That's just what he brings to the table. Fortunately for him, he's in this movie as stiff, emotionless Batman.
Yes.
So it works out okay.
Yes.
But I also agree with you that his Bruce Wayne was just dumb.
Pure crap, yeah.
Bruce Wayne is a playboy. He's a rich kid. He's out on the town. I don't know. I thought brooding emo Bruce Wayne was not a good look.
Obviously, you just don't understand Nirvana, man.
I don't.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I thought it was trash. Like, I was like, and it falls under this kind of category that every director or writer or whatever who gets their hands on a comic property goes, you know what? This is my version of Batman, or this is my version of Superman, and I'm doing this. It's like, the character never belonged to you. Like, honestly, those kind of characters, and same thing with, like, famous books and stuff like that, those characters belong to us, the people. Like, they're our characters. And when you put your tiny little stupid twist on them to make you think that, you know, you're edgy or that, you know, I truly understand this character, then, I don't know, shut up.
Take that.
Yeah.
From Todd's mouth to your ears. Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's probably enough cons. Those are the major ones for me. What was good about this movie? I agree about the detective nature of Batman in this movie with you.
Yeah.
I also thought I enjoyed the riddles.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the detectiveness and the riddleness together and figuring out stuff, and there was clues and fun stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was the best part of this movie, actually, is that part of things. And I did like Catwoman in this, although you're right, there was not really much to her character, except for slinky woman
Right.
wandering
Well, and
around.
I mean, I don't know that much about Catwoman, but I feel like they had to change so much about Selena Kyle to shoehorn her into the movie. Not like personality traits or anything like that, but like,
Her history.
yeah, how she fits into Gotham and the world and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know.
Right. I also, I wasn't aware that Gotham had a seawall before watching this movie.
It kind of just, I think it just depends on who the writer of the comic is. Too.
Yeah.
It's never really spelled out in comics where exactly these cities are. You know, Gotham City is very close to Bloodhaven. They're like sister cities, and then they're not too far away from Metropolis. And that's really about it. Like
Right.
then everything seems like the regular
In
United
Capital
States of-
City.
In Capital City.
Let's not forget Capital City.
There's Fawcett City. There's Star City. They're all around there somewhere. And you know what? They all seem to border water.
Right. Well, I definitely got like a New York City vibe from this Gotham.
Yes.
So I guess that makes some sense, as New York City is on some water.
Yeah. And to their credit, the Christian Bale Batman movies were very obviously Pittsburgh. Like, and then it also bordered to water. I don't know if Pittsburgh actually borders to water.
Yes, it does.
Okay, well then, yeah. there you
Three
go.
rivers. The Three Rivers confluence at the end of Pittsburgh, and there's a lot of bridges and stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
In those movies, I thought it bordered like the Atlantic.
Oh, yes. Well, Pittsburgh does not border the Atlantic Ocean. It does have some rivers nearby.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So there's some good things. There's some bad things. Not in that order. But what did I think about this? Overall, I thought it was too long and kind of average. The cons that I mentioned bring it down, especially the length, and the detective work and riddles bring it up for me. And I'm going to say you can see it in theaters if you're into that type of movie. By that type, I mean if you're into superhero comic book style movies. Yes, it's a theater watch for you. Anybody else, watch it at home. I just opened my back thing by pressing the button, so it's good. We'll
Nice.
just close that back down.
There we go.
And continue on with the podcast. Yeah, so I would say it's not terrible. It's not great. I think it's an average for me. Average film. So that's where I'll leave it.
Well, Matt, how many bat emblem chest knives would you give this movie? Which is also a big problem I had in this movie, is that Batman can take off his chest emblem and it's a big knife, which I
Yeah.
thought was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen, because he also never uses it in any kind of situation where you don't need just a small, who cares knife that easily could fit in something like a utility belt.
Right.
Especially since the first time you see it, all he does is cut caution tape. There's so much effort to take the thing off his chest just to cut caution tape.
Right.
Just use your hands, Batman.
And I feel like if that's going to be detachable, it should not be a knife. It should be a batarang.
Right, yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It
yeah.
should be, oh, I'm whipping out the big guns. Here comes the batarang.
I thought he was going to
Shing,
throw it
shing,
at some
shing,
point. No,
Yes.
no. He used it another time in the movie, and all he did was cut something.
Yes. So, I like I said, I think that the pros and cons balance pretty well, and this is an average movie, and I'll give you an extra bonus bat emblem knife point for Zoe Kravitz's performance as Catwoman.
I'll give credit where credit's due. Her fight scenes I thought were really good. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how much of that was her or a stunt double or honestly CGI, but I thought they were very Catwoman-like. Like,
yes, agree.
So I'm not opposed to giving credit where it's due.
2.6 out of 5 bat emblem knife chest pull out things.
Did the 0.1 come from Catwoman?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna say that. Well, this is a hard one. I'm gonna land on a. I'm gonna give it a 3. I thought it was a little above average, which is obviously where we differ, but
I did give it an above average rating.
that's true. Thanks to Catwoman.
Slightly.
I thought the fighting scenes were really good. Like I thought this was a very good representation of Batman, modern day Batman, in the sense of he's got plenty of Kevlar, he's taking shots and stuff like that, like which the other movies kind of, show him dodging a lot. I think it's a lot more realistic that a Batman nowadays would be like super armored up, since that is technology that exists and can happen.
Yep.
And fight scenes were good. I thought Robert Pattinson was a good to great Batman, but as we've discussed, that's probably just because him and the Batman share personalities.
Yes.
He is a god-awful Bruce Wayne. So, kind of comparable to Val Kilmer, actually. Like, Val Kilmer was a very broody, crappy Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the biggest minus to it that we both agree on is the runtime. It's atrocious.
It's long.
So yeah, but I'm at a 3, and that could be because I had such low expectations and I was already frustrated going into the movie. That sometimes that's the best way to enter a movie.
Yes. I forgot an additional pro and con, which I'll share at this time.
Oh.
They balance each other.
Nice.
The pro would be that I felt like Batman learned something about himself by the end of the movie, and they had like a little bit of character development.
I think that's a great point. Great point, man.
And that fits in with what you're saying about the modern Batman. Like,
yeah.
Not only does he have modern armor, but he has modern feelings.
Sure.
Robert Pattinson will never be able to reveal those feelings in
Very
acting.
true. He'll never be able to show you them, but
and my con is the Batman theme song, which we heard over and over and over and over, and it's like this short thing that just gets repeated.
Yeah.
Almost every time Batman is on the screen,
yes,
they play this stupid theme
and
music.
they like would change the tempo,
right?
And they would change, but it would be the same tune,
right?
And it's like there's some points where that just didn't fit, like a high speed action scene,
right?
Where like here goes the Batmobile, boom, and it's like boom, 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 like it's just
right.
Yes.
So that
reminds me of Uncut Gems, like the toads, like for the movie. It was like, what's the soundtrack to that movie? Bong, bing, doo.
Yes, good pull there on the Uncut Gems soundtrack, which was just ridiculous. So there you go, bonus pro and con for the Batman.
Nice.
And that's gonna wrap up this podcast, which I feel like we've droned on a little bit. I don't know how long this is gonna end up being, but
you're all gonna love every second of it.
You all will. Thank you for listening, listeners, where we have reviewed tonight The Batman.
The Batman.
And we gave it an average rating of 2.8 chest Batman emblem knife things out of 5. So slightly above average, and we think, if you like this type of movie, you'd probably see it in the theater, but otherwise you can watch it at home.
My verdict was, if you're on the fence, I'm pushing you over the fence to come see it.
And my verdict is,
you're pulling them back over the fence.
I'm pulling you back.
And then restraining them so they don't, they're not tempted to go back over the fence.
We cancel out. See it if you want to, I guess.
We haven't been any help here tonight, but...
Not at all. All right. Well, thanks again for listening to our podcast, and keep doing it, and we'll see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da
da da da.
Boom boom.